Hey everybody, welcome to our vlog. For real, we're having a podcast here. We've been told it's neither. Help, Jason.
It actually was a podcast.
Hey! Yes. Boom. Hey, welcome again to our podcast. We are in our season of Advent, and so we're going to have some special Christmas editions of our podcast. This is our first one, and today we are going to talk a little bit about Christmas traditions and how we enter into those and keep things focused on Jesus. And to help us do that, I've invited two friends. You probably know them if you've been around faith, but we have our kids pastor, Candy Burden, and our communications director, Lydia Wohlgemuth. And so welcome. Thanks for being here today.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. Are y'all ready for this? Y'all ready to talk about some Christmas traditions?
We are ready.
So good. I thought we'd start by just talking about maybe some traditions we practice. So I'd love to hear from y'all. Any Christmas traditions that you grew up with, or maybe you kind of do each year currently, or that you want to share? Or anything unusual, Lydia, that you guys do?
Yeah. Nothing unusual, but yeah, I love Christmas. We always had a really special Christmases growing up. My parents made them a really fun time, so I'm thankful for that. But one of my favorite, I guess you could say it's a tradition, we would go look at Christmas lights like a lot of people do, but we would go to a specific neighborhood. We still do every year. We go to Prestonwood. I don't know if y'all have heard of it, but it's in the Houston area, and every single street has a different theme, and they go all out. So there's
cool.
Nutcracker theme, Twas the Night Before Christmas theme, a Disney theme. So yeah, that's fun.
Awesome.
This past year we got into a truck, and we sat in the bed of the truck and enjoyed it outside. So
That's
that was
awesome.
fun.
That's fun.
Very cool.
I like that.
Hey, you were talking earlier about a advent calendar you do for your cats, which I thought was interesting. But
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to talk about that. But it's okay if you don't.
Yeah. So yeah, my husband Caleb and I, we have cats. We're cat people. Proud to say it. And we,
Some people are. It's fun.
we have our human advent calendar, which is really fun.
Okay.
And then we also have a calendar just for our cats. And every day they get to open up their calendar, and they run to us, and they know it's time to open the advent calendar. And under every day there's a different cat toy for them.
Great.
Yeah.
So if any of you out there have cats and want to know how to get a hold of this resource, feel free to contact.
I can send
Lydia
you the
if
link.
That's great.
Candy, how about you guys?
Yeah, so a tradition that I grew up with that John and I have carried on with our kids is we always open presents Christmas morning. But before we open presents, we always read the Christmas story. So that's something that my parents did, and that's something that we've done with our kids, and now our kids are grown, but we still do that every Christmas morning. And then kind of a fun, unique thing that we have in our family, it's called the blanket gift. And this started in John's family. His grandmother, every year, someone would get something, especially when they were little, that was like too big to be wrapped. So she would cover it with a quilt. And so that became the blanket gift. So it was a different kid every year who got that gift. So we do that. We don't do it every year in our family, but sometimes we'll have like a big gift and somebody gets the blanket gift for that year.
Gift.
Yeah. So
Okay.
so it's just a big gift. Like when John was a kid, or even for some of our kids, it was like a bicycle was the blanket gift. So it would just be something covered with a blanket instead of something wrapped under
All
the
right,
tree.
what's the coolest blanket gift though that's ever been given in your
So
family?
for our kids, they got a golf cart one year.
Oh.
Yes,
Okay,
they
that's a
all
big
three had
blanket.
to.
I mean,
They all
that's-
three had to share it, but that was the big blanket gift that they
That's
got. So I would
awesome.
think if you asked them, that's probably the one that they would remember.
Yeah, that's cool. I love it.
Yeah.
So, well, growing up in our family, we'd do the same thing. We'd read the Christmas story before we open gifts, but we would open all our gifts like on Christmas Eve.
Okay.
And we'd have like all these hors d'oeuvres, and it was just always fun. That was like my favorite meal of the year. And we all knew like the presents we were giving were from each other. And then Christmas morning, it was kind of like pseudo Santa, yeah, these are from Santa, ha ha ha, you know, and we'd open them. We knew they weren't from Santa, but we'd all run in and they'd be under the tree.
Yeah.
But I remember that. And then now with our girls, like Heather and I, we have y'all heard of Jesse Tree?
Yeah.
Have you seen that? It's like kind of these little devotionals you do, like almost like an Advent calendar. And then we do an Advent calendar too. So Christmas is a big deal for in our home. So, but we do Advent calendar, but then we do Jesse Tree like at night. And we read like it's based on like the lineage of Jesus and his ancestors and different snapshots from their lives that point to a coming Messiah. And so we read through that and just kind of it's fun. And it's we still do it. Our girls still want to do it every year, and there's like little ornaments that they go hang on the tree, and that's fun. But so you know, growing up, I mentioned like this pseudo Santa thing on Christmas morning that we all knew wasn't real. We all like, what do y'all think of like Santa and Christmas? Did y'all grow up with that tradition? I mean, it's not a right or wrong answer. Just curious if y'all grew up with that, or I mean.
Yeah. So I did. I grew up with Santa, you know, and we actually believed in Santa when we were little, and our kids did too when they were little. I think my parents did a really good job, and I think that John and I did as well, of like, that wasn't the focus, though. Like, that was an exciting, fun thing for the kids, but we really always tried to bring it back to you know, the birth of Christ and the reason that we actually celebrated. So I get asked that a lot by parents.
I bet you do,
And I just, you know, tell them it's different for each family. And I also tell parents, don't discount your personal convictions. You're the one raising your child. So if God's put something on your heart, you don't need to worry about what somebody else is doing. You need to follow through with what God has put on your heart. But I don't think there's necessarily a wrong or a right in it, as long as you keep the focus where it needs to be.
Yeah, that's really good. I love that. I mean, I think that's really wise advice for anybody who's asking that question. You know, a lot of people in our church are asking that question. They have young kids or just had kids, and they're going, what are we going to do about Santa? Like, it's like the elephant in the room. Like, what do we do about Santa? And so, I don't know, Lydia, did you grow up believing in Santa, or, you know, what did y'all do about Santa growing up? Or
No, I never believed in Santa. We didn't do Santa in my household, but I don't think it was ever an intentional thing by my parents. We just never did it. But I would get some really great tooth fairy gifts, though.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Yeah.
It's funny you said that, because like our kids, I think they believed in the tooth fairy longer than they believed in Santa. Like they were like from day one, they were like, that's not real, is it? Like, that's just not, there's no way a man could go to that many homes on one night of the year and deliver that many presents, and he can't fit down a chimney. And but for some reason, they were like, wait, is the tooth fairy real? Like, and I don't know how that happened, but so so it was never, like, our kids just never believed in Santa anyway, because they were like, that's not realistic. But I honestly, I think in our family, one of the most helpful things we did was we watched VeggieTales Christmas, the St. Nicholas movie. Have y'all ever seen that? And it's like, it's a version of like the real St. Nicholas that Santa Claus is based off of. And most of that's like legend or myth. It's kind of been like inflated, but you know, he was this generous guy. I think the real story is he wanted to, there were some, these 3 girls that he wanted to keep out of a life of poverty and eventual life of, prostitution, being sold, and as a way for their family to make a living. And so he would leave money for them. Some accounts say like he'd drop it down the chimney, others are through the window, and he would leave money for them so that the father would have a dowry to offer so they could get married and have a respectable life. And so there's all these traditions about St. Nicholas being this really generous person that would give to people to help people in need. And so, you know, we watched that and we're like, hey, look, whatever Santa Claus is today, his roots are from a real person named St. Nicholas, who was a Christian and was generous to others because God was generous to him. And so like we grew up talking about, like in our home, like Santa Claus is based on a real person who was generous because God was generous to us in giving us Jesus. And so we give gifts at Christmas like St. Nicholas gave gifts to others because God has given us the greatest gift of Jesus. And so that's kind of what we do with Santa Claus in our home, but it's it's tricky. I mean, it's this tradition, and I still think you can have some traditions like that, but still focus on Jesus and point to Jesus in different ways. And that St. Nicholas movie helped us do that, the VeggieTales version of it, because it does point to Jesus in the movie. But yeah, so I mean, even things like Christmas trees, you know, like I don't know, like have y'all heard any of the like I don't know, suspect origins of Christmas trees? Do y'all know about any of that?
Yeah, I've heard that there was like a pagan origin to the Christmas tree and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So even like I think some people have problems with even Christmas trees, and that's a tough one too because it's really hard to trace the origins of that. It's like they're traditions for a reason, right? Some of them come out of legends and have been built over time. And there's all these things. Is it related to like ancient Roman pagan practices around solstice and Saturn and the worship of the sun god, Sol Invictus, and like, which all happened around December 25th. And then the Catholic tradition, or some in the Catholic tradition think, well, no, like, you know, Jesus' death was March 25th, and by tradition, they say his death was on the same day he was conceived, and so trace that 9 months later, that's December 25th, and so that's when we celebrate Christmas. And I mean, reality is like nobody really knows why we celebrate December 25th, but Jesus probably wasn't born December 25th, you know, so it's like we should never say in a church service on this night 2,000 years ago Jesus was born. It's not reality, but that doesn't mean it's wrong to celebrate and pick a day that we celebrate the birth of Jesus, because he was born, and we do celebrate that. We don't know when he was born, and so you know, picking a day during the year is not a bad thing. A lot of people think he was born September, October, around that time, and so, but it's, you know, we don't know.
We don't know.
Anyway, and same with Christmas trees. Are they pagan origin? Or Martin Luther, I think, was the first Protestant that put like candles on the tree because he wanted to recreate the feeling he got walking around and seeing stars shine through the trees. And so in the Protestant tradition, we have Christmas trees, and other traditions. It's connected to like the paradise tree in the Garden of Eden, and people decorated them with apples. But almost every religion around the world has some sort of tree as a symbol in their religion. So it doesn't necessarily mean our Christmas tree is based on pagan practices, right? So anyway, but you know, Candy, I liked your words earlier. It's like, you know, what is God putting on your heart to teach your kids, and are you keeping it centered on Jesus? So I don't know if there's anything y'all would add to that in terms of like helping people watching who are going, okay, what do we do with this? December 25th isn't really Jesus' birthday. Christmas trees are kind of suspect, and then you've got Santa Claus. It's like, man, does he take away from the meaning of Christmas? Anything else that you guys would say in terms of like all these traditions that could potentially pull away from Christmas, or even people going, I don't know if it's okay to celebrate Christmas on December 25th if that's not really Jesus' birthday? So I don't know. Is there anything y'all would add to that in terms of helping families center Christmas around Jesus?
Yeah, I think that, you know, we don't know the date, like you said, but what we're doing is celebrating the birth of Christ. So if that's the date that the world, you know, celebrates the birth of Christ on, I think that's okay. Like in my mind, that's okay. Our church chooses we're going to celebrate it that day. That's what we're going to do. Again, I think it's all about like your heart, where you are with Christ, and your walk with Christ, and just making sure that focus stays, you know, where it needs to be. I just this last week, I was a guest speaker in our Parents of Kids class. And that one of the things we talked about was like how to keep Christ as the focus during this time of year, because it gets more and more difficult the older your kids get, and the more like surrounded we are by social media and so many outside influences. Like it's all about gifts and, everything just seems to be pulling the focus away from Christ.
Yeah.
So we actually covered a few things that you can do during this time to really keep that focus. One was we shared sharing the Christmas story with your family multiple times, not just that Christmas morning, but
Right.
throughout the season. Coming to church, during this season, your kids are at church, you're going to hear about the true meaning
right.
of Christmas. So it's so important to be here during not just Christmas Eve services, but all through this month, building up, because we're going to be talking about it every single week, some aspect of the Christmas story.
Yes.
And then one of the things that I had done a little research on was giving gifts, which is great because we give gifts because, again, like what Jamey just said, we give because God gave us his son. We celebrate that. But instead of just giving gifts, give gifts of service. So do something for someone in your neighborhood, like clean up a
That's
yard.
right.
Give gifts of service to your family. Even I gave them the idea of kids could even exchange chores. I will do your, take
Yeah.
out the trash,
That's a great
1
idea.
month for you as a Christmas gift. So just kind of putting the service aspect of it back into the Christmas season.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. I was reading this morning Matthew 6. It was part of our Advent reading plan that we've been doing as a church. And Jesus was giving his Sermon on the Mount speech, and he said, "Where your treasure is, there your heart will be also." I feel like that really applies to Christmas traditions. I know
Yeah.
I have to check my heart a lot because I love Christmas, and I can easily get caught up in the decorations, getting my tree out, making sure my house looks cozy for the holidays and all of the fun Christmas events. And, I have to give gifts to these people and wear this to this Christmas party. So yeah, I can easily get distracted, but just doing that, I call it a treasure check on my heart to make sure, okay, Jesus is my treasure and all of these other traditions, I think God gives us the freedom to enjoy them, but ultimately, they're not what bring us lasting joy. And Jesus lasts after Christmas is over. So, yeah.
That's good.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah. And I think especially for families and even just for all of us, it is an opportunity. I mean, it's interesting to me, I think sometimes we think, if only the culture didn't have all these practices that pull people away from Jesus, and we can point the finger at the culture, or we can see it as an opportunity, right? Because, it's a federal holiday, and it's called Christmas, right? And it's centered around Jesus, and that it really origins of December 25th, celebrating the birth of Christ. It really started under Constantine, and he made it an official holiday in the 4th century. And it's I'm thankful for that because it commemorates the birth of Christ, and regardless of what people have made it, there's a built-in federal holiday every year called Christmas that gives us the opportunity to tell people what it's about and why Jesus came, and gives us an opportunity to talk about the real meaning with our kids and our friends, our family. And so I think it's a real gift to get to celebrate. And it was the Puritans in the early settlers of America, and they didn't like that Christmas was being celebrated, and so it was in the Massachusetts Bay Colony. They created a law. It was the penalty for keeping Christmas, and it was we don't like Christmas because it's this superstitious British holiday that has been brought over here, and so they would literally, it became illegal in that colony to celebrate Christmas. And it's their intent was good. Hey, we want to keep it focused on Jesus, but I think if we go to one extreme, we miss opportunities. We miss opportunities to point our families to the real meaning of Christmas. And I just think it's a gift. And I think of Christmas Eve that we're asking all of you, our church family, to invite friends and family to. It's a natural point for people to want to come to church. Right. Because it's a built-in holiday. And so I hope we all do that with neighbors. I hope we all take that opportunity to bring our families and friends to Christmas Eve service and celebrate the true meaning of Christmas. And so, anyway, thanks for talking about that. I think it's a fun fun topic and can be challenging to navigate. So appreciate y'all's words on that. So we're going to end with, there are lots of Christmas traditions all over the world that develop and kind of come out of like different cultures and their unique expression of celebrating Christmas. And so we're going to play a game that you may have heard. It's sometimes 2 truths and a lie. I think we're kind of going just truths and a lie. We, some of us have 2, some of us might have 3. And so we're going to kind of read our list of Christmas traditions and then see if we can guess which one is the lie. And so Lydia, you wanna kick us off and share your traditions, and we're gonna do our best to guess which one is real, which ones are real, which ones are not. So
Okay. All right, so the first one. In Sweden, there's a Christmas tradition of watching a Donald Duck cartoon called Kalle Anka, which means Donald Duck, on television at 3 p.m. every single Christmas Eve. All right, the second one. In Iceland, there's a Christmas Eve tradition called Yule Cat, where it is believed that a giant cat roams the countryside and eats people who haven't received new clothes before Christmas.
it makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very intense.
And then the last one, in Ukraine, there's a tradition of decorating Christmas trees with artificial spider webs to bring good luck and good fortune.
All right. And we have to pick the one that's not
not
real.
true.
That's not real?
That's not real.
One of them is false.
One of them is false.
Oh.
Okay. Read the second one again. What was the second one?
That's the Yule Cat.
That's the Yule Cat. Yule Cat.
Yeah.
Okay.
That eats you
Yeah.
if you
Yule
don't have new
Cat,
clothes.
Donald Duck,
Okay.
or spider web Christmas trees. They're all really weird.
They're very
Okay. I want to hear you first.
Okay, I think I'm going to go with the Donald Duck. I think I'm going to say Donald Duck is not
Yeah.
real.
It's not very Christmassy.
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure the Ukrainian one is true.
I think so too.
I think the Iceland one is true. Iceland's like my dream vacation. I want to go there someday. And so I've heard of the Yule Cat.
Okay.
I don't know if he eats people for that reason. I don't know.
Yeah.
The Donald Duck one I think is a tradition somewhere, but maybe not Sweden. So I think that's the lie.
Okay. No, y'all are both wrong. It was the Yule Cat. Yeah.
The Yule Cat.
Yeah.
But there's a Yule Cat in Iceland.
There is, but
Okay.
I think, my statement was a little bit exaggerated.
Extreme.
So, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, eating
Okay.
people.
Eating
yeah,
people
yeah.
if they don't have
Okay.
new clothes.
All right. That
Okay.
was
Yeah.
tricky.
Yeah.
That was like 2 truths and a half lie. Like, all right. Okay.
No,
Any part
But
of the
good
statement.
work. Good work.
You did
Okay.
good. You did good.
All right.
I think it's legit.
Okay.
I think you did.
All right,
Okay.
Candy, I want to hear yours.
All right, here's mine. All right. In Iceland, children who have been naughty receive rotten potatoes in their shoes.
Okay.
Okay?
That's like reverse Santa. Like
the coal,
He
but-
normally puts
The
like,
coal,
good-
yeah, right.
Okay.
Right, I think so. Yeah. I think you could see it that way for sure. Okay, in Hayes, Kansas, here's one that's local to the United States.
Oh,
Um,
it's very specific.
Local farmers tie red ribbons to giant cow patties and leave them near their neighbor's front porch.
These are good.
A special prize is awarded to the farmer who finds the biggest cow patty. Okay, that's the second one.
Wow.
And then the final one is according to Norwegian folklore, witches and evil spirits come out on Christmas Eve to do some mischief. So families hide their brooms to stop them from being stolen for a midnight ride. So there we go. That's the 3.
I'm gonna go first.
Okay.
The Norwegian one is true.
Is it
I think. I think I'm gonna say the Iceland one is true. Or no, the Hayes one is true. The Iceland one's the lie. That's
Okay.
my guess.
Okay, that's your guess. All
I'm
right.
going to go number 2 is the lie, the cow patties. That sounds
Okay.
too gross to be true.
You got it right. Yes, I completely made that up out of
Yeah.
my.
I just
Out of
hoped it
my
was
brain.
true. I just wanted it. I wanted it
You
to be real.
true, yeah.
All
So
right.
yes, rotten potatoes is actually a true tradition in Iceland. And you
All
need to
right.
know this, Jamie, because you're
Yeah.
going there.
But yeah, I need to know this.
Yes.
I do.
Yeah.
I need to look out,
Yes.
especially if I go there during Christmas.
Pack some
Exactly.
potatoes.
Exactly. Okay, what are yours?
All right, so I must not have listened well to the
Okay.
instructions because I You're going to guess which one is true, not which one is the lie.
Okay, so you have one true one.
I have one true
Okay.
one. I had more fun coming up with lies, so I don't know what that says
That was
about
kind of
me.
fun. I
Yeah.
enjoyed that part too.
Yeah,
That was
I know.
fun.
All right, so first is Santa's helper fox in Lithuania.
Okay.
So in addition to the other reindeer, Lithuanians acknowledge Santa's pesky fox, Stanislava, who steals Christmas cabbage rolls from children who are on Santa's naughty list.
Okay.
So Lithuania, Santa's helper fox. And in India, instead of like pine trees or evergreen trees, it's decorating the mango tree. And so in parts of southern India, instead of using a traditional Christmas tree, many people use mango trees and decorate them with fairy lights. So, and then in Kyrgyzstan, there's the Christmas naan, which is it's like a flatbread. So, so it's found in every home on Christmas Day. This decorative bread has an engraving of a horse on it. So they do like these etchings with like this little toothpick or knife thing. Has an engraving of a horse on it. And this famous horse carried Kyrgyzstan's hero Manas into battle, where after weeks of fighting, he defeated their enemies on Christmas Day. So, which one is the truth?
Wow. There's only one true one.
There's only one true one.
I'm gonna go non-bread. I feel like I want that to be true. That sounds good. I love non-bread.
It's so detailed. I feel like that's the true one. I'm going to go with that too. I'm going to say that's the true one.
Right. Well, that's actually the decorating of the mango tree. That's the true one. So
Really? Okay.
it's the least detailed of those.
So
but anyway,
you
Tricked
made up
us.
the whole non-bread
yeah.
thing. That is so detailed for a lie.
You're welcome.
Good lie.
Just-
Good lie, Jamie.
Red flag, red flag.
Red flag.
That's great.
You learn something every podcast. I don't know. So
Yeah.
anyway.
So apparently there's one I want to throw back in there because Lydia and I both discovered this
Oh
one.
yeah, that was
And
fun.
it's important for everyone to know, and this is a true one. It's a true tradition. In Japan, Kentucky Fried Chicken is like a Christmas Day staple. People
Yes.
put their orders in months in advance for KFC. Who knew? That's true. And we both came up with
I
that.
read that.
Okay,
one.
yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's
that's
nuts.
wild.
Yeah, because we won't even
So-
go to KFC here hardly. And yeah,
Is KFC even open on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day
here,
I mean, yeah.
probably not.
It
I mean, maybe
should
Christmas
be.
Eve.
It should be. Yeah,
Christmas
anyway.
fried chicken. Yum.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anyway, that's awesome. Thanks for playing along.
Yeah, it was fun.
Hope y'all had fun with that. And yeah, Candy, Lydia, thank y'all for
Yes.
being here, and thanks for chatting about Christmas traditions. And so we hope you all have fun this time of year, celebrating your different Christmas traditions in your families or with your friends. And I don't know, maybe you learned some new ones that you can incorporate, like fried chicken. And so, yeah, feel free to do whatever you want with that. So, thanks again for joining us, for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye everyone.